Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 4 replays in the brand new American Tier 8 Tech Tree Heavy Tank, the M3Y. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the M3Y, it is the brand new Tech Tree Heavy Tank for the brand new American Yo line. What's it like as a tank? I found it pretty enjoyable. I like the fact that it has 2 very usable, very acceptable guns, in the fact that you play this gun stock, or this tank stock with the stock gun. It is a very good gun, very, very good gun, and in fact it probably is actually the better gun for the tank in general. Or you can get the 105mm gun, which is also pretty nice, but it's generally slightly worse than the 90mm gun in a lot of aspects. But it has 320 alpha as opposed to 240, so you feel a bit more heavy tanky with the alpha. Now, I prefer the 105 because of the extra alpha, but that's not surprising for me, because I do like the higher alpha in general on vehicles. But a lot of people might find that the 90mm, because it's got better pen, especially on the premium, and it's got better shell velocity, and generally better accuracy, a lot of people will probably feel that they'd want to stick with just using the stock 90mm gun. It's a choice. This line has choices in terms of the guns. That's one of the elements of the line, is the fact that they have a choice between how you want to play it with, in terms of the alpha damage and stuff like that. So the M3Y, while it is stock, has a 40km/h top speed with a 17km/h reverse speed, 600 horsepower engine, which is 13.53 horsepower per ton ratio, which means, again, it's a little bit sluggish and slow up to that top speed while you are stock, and you will feel that. With a 26°/second hull rotation speed, the tank does turn fairly slowly on its tracks as well. You might want to help that out if you do feel it turns too slowly. 1.89 on soft, 1.17 on medium, and 1.2 on firm is good on the soft terrain resistances, poor on the medium and firm, especially since we've helped it out with the crew. That's not great, and it will feel sluggish on those terrains as well. 486 meters of view range is quite nice for the M3Y, which means that the tank can spot for itself fairly nicely. It's actually fairly average tier 8 view range if we're honest. 486, because it's 380 base at that point, right? And 380 base is average view range for most tier 8s. So 486 is fine. 34.06°/second on the turret rotation speed is faster than the tracks, and if you know me, you know I like that. That is very nice for the M3Y. We've got a 0.62 accuracy during rotation, with a 1.86 accuracy during movement. That's not too horrendous. It means the aim circle doesn't become too big, and means you're ready to snap shots left, right, and centre with this 90mm gun. And if you do need to aim in, you have a 1.93 second aim time, which is pretty damn quick. I mean, you are ready to go super quickly anyway in this M3Y. 10 degrees of gun depression makes you exceptionally flexible on a ridgeline, exactly the same as the rest of the vehicles in this line, meaning you want to be on a ridgeline because that's where you're going to have your best time with the M3Y, and then just keep your DPM flowing to be able to get the shots out on the enemy team, as you have a 0.3 accuracy at 100 meters with this 90mm gun, which means it is a very accurate gun, and that is also very nice for it too. And when you're fully stocked, you've got a 5.03 second reload, which is 2.8, nearly 2.9k DPM. That is fantastic DPM for this vehicle with 240 alpha. It means it fires very, very quickly, and it can rack up the damage fairly consistently, fairly quickly in this tank, and that is very, very nice for the M3Y. With 223 pen on the standard APCR, 290 pen on the premium heat rounds, and 45mm of penetration on the HE, 4240 alpha or 320. You've got 1250 meters of second shell velocity on the standard APCR, which is very nice indeed for a tier 8 heavy tank. 900 meters of second shell velocity on the premium heat rounds, though, means it is below average in terms of that velocity. You do have to give a decent amount of lead to be able to hit targets at distance. And bear in mind, if you switch to the heat, it will be a lot slower, so you have to give a lot more lead with the heat rounds than you do the standard rounds. But 223 standard pen on a stock gun for a tier 8 is fantastic. And 290 pen on the heat means that you don't struggle to pen anything. You will not struggle to pen anything unless it's a Type 5 Heavy or a Mouse. And then even then, 290 pen is actually enough to go through those guys too, which is very nice for the M3Y indeed. And that's one of the strengths of this vehicle, or should I say, one of the strengths of this 90mm over the top gun, which is the 105. Now, I should have died here, by the way. That G-Saw should have killed me, but we get fortunate. And we'll take it. We'll take it every day of the week. But yeah, the 90mm gun is very good on this M3Y, and it is a very, very nice option. Like I said, the 105 is also very, very nice, but it's your personal preference as to which one you're actually going to play. I like the 320 Alpha just because it means that, say with this gun, 10 shots of damage is 2,400 damage, whereas 10 shots of damage with the 320 is 3,200. It feels a bit more significant, and it feels that little bit more heavy tanky. So what do I run in terms of recruit and equipment on the M3Y? Well, again, fairly similar to what I run on the Porlac and the M2Y. I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Snapshot, Off-Road Driving with the Rapid Aim, Advanced Loader, the Gun Stabilizer, and Optics. Optics to be able to get the fantastic 486 meters of view range so I can spot for myself really nicely. The Gun Stabilizer to get the best accuracy during rotation and movement I possibly can on this vehicle alongside all 3 gun perks so that the gun is near enough always ready to go. The Advanced Loader to get the best DPM on this tank that I can possibly get as well. With Off-Road Driving to help the ground resistances out so that I can hit my top speed that little bit easier, and Rapid Aim to just make the turret traverse better. Again, it's one of those things that you could quite easily drop Off-Road Driving and run clutch braking instead to make the track traverse better, but it is down to you and how you want to play the vehicle. So as you saw in that first replay, we finished with 3 kills, 3.3k damage, the high caliber, the sniper with the second class for 1642 base XP, which is a nice game there for the M3Y in a top tier lobby, especially being completely stock. And even when it's stock, it still felt pretty competitive, and that's the one thing that's been nice about this entire branch, to be honest, that even stock, I don't feel useless. I feel like I can still be a functioning member of the team and get some good old damage out of it. So now in this second replay, we are fully upgraded in all but the gun. So we've got the top tracks, the top engine, the top turret, and so now we are fully upgraded except for the 90mm gun. We have still got that 40 km/h top speed with the 17 km/h reverse speed. 675 horsepower engine now, which is 14.88 horsepower per ton ratio. Means we are that little bit faster in the M3Y, and you don't feel quite as sluggish or slow with that engine. The terrain resistances have got a little bit better. It's same on soft, but the medium and firm have got to 109 and 1.1, which are still not that great, for saying we've helped it out as much as possible, but it's not horrific. 28 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed as well means it's 2 degrees a second faster on the tracks, which is nice. Still not the fastest in the universe, but it's usable. 499 meters of view range now, though, is good. We're getting to a good level of view range now. We've gone above the average 380 view range that a lot of tier 8s have. We've now gone to above that to go up to the 499 meters of view range area, which is very nice for the M3Y, meaning we should be able to spot for ourselves very, very effectively, especially from a position like this here on Sword Beach. 36.49 degrees a second on the turret rotation means that the tank does turn its turret a little bit faster as well, which is good. 0.52 accuracy during rotation is better as well. 1.6 accuracy during movement is better than it was, which means the aim circle doesn't bloom out much at all on this 90mm gun. Now you've got the top turret and the top everything, which is glorious. A 1.75 second aim time as well now you're nearly upgraded means that it does aim in even faster, and it makes the gun handling on this tank feel even better. 0.28 accuracy at 100 meters as well means it's super duper accurate, although again it still likes the derp shots occasionally, which you sit there going, but why? Like we had the side of that Patriot there, but we hit the side of the turret, or the turret front realistically, which is, yeah, sad time, but there you go. 4.67 second reload now though is 3000 DPM, nearly 3100 DPM, which is absolutely magnificent on this vehicle, and it means that you shred vehicles very, very quickly, and you can, it's almost you blink and your damage has gone very, very high, and that is lovely for the 90mm gun on this tank. And again, it's an asset for the M3Y, which is why this gun feels generally very, very nice to use, just because that DPM is up there. But the thing is, it's the same as it is on the Tier 9 M6Y, that the DPM on the 105mm isn't that far off the 90mm as well. So it's one of those things, it is a proper trade-off as to which gun you feel. Whether you want the slightly better gun handling, the better shell velocity, with the ever so slightly better DPM, right, but have 240 alpha, or you can have the near enough the same DPM with the 105, but generally the gun handling and everything about that gun is a little bit worse, but you have 320 alpha. I like that fact about this line. It is a strong point for the line, the fact that you can have a choice as to which gun you want to use. There is no top gun with this tank. Don't think of it in that linear progression system. Think of it as a choice between which gun you actually want to use, whether you want to use the 105 or the 90mm. For me, I'll stick with the 105mm gun, sorry, because I like the 320, but a lot of people might just prefer that far better gun handling and shell velocity on this 90mm. But did I say better shell velocity? Or better gun handling, I should say? I said better gun handling. I jinxed it. We had the whole side of that Waffly 100, and sadly, it ricocheted off his engine deck because it went, ha, lol. I could decide to hit the Waffly 100 in a place I could pen it, or I could just find the only place I'm going to bounce. So this game here on Sword Beach is obviously in a pretty poor matchup. There's a lot of tier 10s. We're up to 2,096 damage so far, and we're using this position here at F4 very, very easily to be able to get a lot of damage out. And as I said in the Gorilla 15 video and the King Tiger video, this position is very, very strong, as you can change positions like you've just seen quite easily. You can go from that spot I was in, where I can get safe from both the 7 line and the 1 line. I can switch to that side, which should give me some slightly easier shots at people that sit further back at D2 on the opposite side, but also I can get better shots along the 7 line. Or I could then go this way and try and get shots at people like the Chisel. It's a very flexible position. So I'm going to go use my DPM against this Chisel. Now, we put one shot through his upper plate. I know that I'm probably just about going to out-reload him with the second shell, so we make sure that we get that. He bounces, though, as his shot goes extremely wide, and I think, okay, I've tracked and penned him there to keep him pinned. Let's finish him off now with the exact same spot that I shot him. Ah. Right. Thanks, RNG. That's really nice. Now I can't go round. I was just about to finish off this Chisel. I should have realistically gone for the upper plate, but I thought because I'd penned and tracked him a second ago in that exact same spot, I'd be okay. But I was wrong. And so we ended up didn't end up killing the Chisel, I should say. English is hard, okay, people? We didn't end up killing the Chisel, which is always a sad time, just because RNG said, no, absolutely not. So there's 4 tanks left on the enemy team. There's the Panzerjäger, the M48 pattern, the other TD that's over in the distance, which is an AMX CDA, and the artillery. So we're going to go close in, try and see if we can get shots on the Panzerjäger or the M48A5. But we end up seeing the little artillery in the distance. Now, I could have actually gone for that guy, but I decided, okay, no, I want to go for the Panzerjäger if I can. Get rid of the Panzerjäger, and then I can try and focus on artillery if I want to. Unfortunately, we hit the floor there, but that was a very chancy shot. It was never realistically going to go anywhere near that Panzerjäger, so I'm going to go change my angle of attack and go after the artillery with this Chieftain. But the artillery, for me, sadly, just gets himself safe. So let's go poke around this corner and see if we can get some shots into the Panzerjäger, because he is over here. I know I've got the Chieftain with me, so if the Panzerjäger comes after us, we should be okay. We've broke the turret of Mr. Panzerjäger as well. And then I look behind me and go, oh, that's not good. The Chieftain's run away and gone after the M48A5. The Panzerjäger rams us, gives us the kill. Thank you, Mr. Panzerjäger, for giving us a kill. But he also shuts us down. And we finish with the victory, though, which is always a good time. The 1 kill, 3.8k damage, 249 assistance damage. The second class, the Confederate, with the eye for an eye. 1697 base XP. A really nice game there for the M3Y, while nearly fully upgraded with that stock 90mm gun. But like I say, it's not really stock, it's just a good gun to use there in a tier 10 lobby. So now we're on to the third replay, and now we are technically fully upgraded. We are using the 105mm gun, which is the last gun upgrade you can get on this tank. And as I'm going to hammer home, as I've said, it is a choice. This isn't technically the last gun. This isn't the best gun on the tank, because both guns are pretty good. It's really down to you and your comfortability with the tank. I've just made that word up, but I'm going with it. And the 105mm gun is still pretty solid. And even though it's slightly worse in terms of its statistics, it still handles pretty nicely. The big downside to the the M3Y's 105mm gun is the penetration drop. And that's the pain for the 105mm gun compared to the 90mm. So this 105mm gun has a 0.67 accuracy during rotation, which is pretty okay, with a 1.69 accuracy during movement, which again is still pretty good. You've got a 1.84 second aim time, which means the very little that the gun does bloom out, as you can see, it still aims in pretty quickly. You've got a 0.3 accuracy at 100 meters, which is only slightly worse than the 90mm gun, which means it's still a fairly accurate gun. 6.49 second reload for this 320 Alpha gun is 2.9, nearly 3k DPM, so you do lose about 100 DPM on this 105 compared to the 90, but you gain that 320 alpha. You've got 215 penetration on the standard AP, which is lower than the 223 of the 90. 251 penetration on the premium APCR, which is a lot lower than the 290 of the premium heat rounds. And 53mm of penetration on the HE for 420 alpha, which is quite nice for going against some of the very lightly armoured vehicles. So your penetration is a lot worse than the 90mm in terms of the premium. It's slightly worse in terms of the standard, which means occasionally you are going to struggle to pen things a little bit more than you will do in that 90mm gun. You do hit them harder, and that is still quite nice, and that only 100 loss of DPM is not horrific, realistically, for the M3Y. You've also got 900 meters a second shell velocity on the standard AP, with 1,100 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APCR rounds. So the premium APCR rounds are ever so slightly slower than the standard rounds of the 90mm gun, but the standard AP round on this 105 is actually the same as the premium heat rounds on the 90 as well, which is still not great because it is below that 1,000 meters a second average, meaning you do have to give a decent amount of lead at distance to be able to hit your targets with the AP, and generally the gun does feel that little bit more derpier because that shell velocity is just that little bit worse. But on the whole, the 105mm gun still feels like a really nice gun to use, and it doesn't feel like a step down, which is good. It's good balancing, realistically, that both guns feel competitive, both guns feel nice. It's just whether you can use the slightly lower penetration, especially on the premium, as opposed to using that 90mm gun, and can adjust also to the slower shell velocity on the standard AP compared to the APCR on the 90. So this game here on this map, which is Arctic region, we've managed to get 3.4k damage with 461 assistance damage so far in this tier 10 game. It's not the best of matchups. We see the 268 version 5 below me, and I decide, okay, you know what, let's chance it. Sadly, we bounce because the gun misses, and, well, we had to try it. We had to try it for the memes, and unfortunately, the memes let us down. But we still finished with the epic victory, 1 kill, 3.4k damage, the second class, with that 1564 base XP, which is still a really nice game for the M3Y in a tier 10 matchup, which is obviously the worst matchup that we could possibly get in an M3Y. But we're on to the fourth and final replay of this video. We're now on the final game for Mr. M3Y, fully upgraded with this 105mm gun, in a nice matchup here on this map, which is Fjords. And on Fjords, what I'm going to do with encounter spawns is, there's two ways you could play this. You could go towards where the encounter cap is, play a little bit of a hold down brawl at D6, or you could just go face the enemy head on, because quite a few of the enemy team might just charge down the 9-0. So this is an aggressive play, but you know you're going to meet the enemy very, very quickly by doing this. So a Caliban and a T-78 have already been spotted. We've got to be careful with that Caliban, because he could pen us with Hesh, which wouldn't be very nice. But if he's firing AP, he's guaranteed to go through us, which is definitely not very nice and will hurt. So we get shot into the T-78. The Duster leaves him on 7 hit points. We finish him off. We get detected, spotted and detected, get hit by something that's next to the Caliban. It wasn't the Iron Rain, there's something else that was over there, but the Iron Rain thankfully bounces off our armour, finally pens us with his final shot, but we get a shot into him on the move, and we get a bit of assistance damage on that Iron Rain as well, which is quite good. Artillery's over this little ridge, as well as the tank destroyer in the IKV-90B, so we're going to close the distance on these guys, get under their gun line, hopefully be able to spot them as they keep coming over there, hopefully keep giving me more assistance damage, but by being closer to the rock, being closer to the ridges, I should hopefully get better shots at these guys. So we end up hitting the ridgeline when trying to go for the cupola of the Caliban. Now in this position the Caliban is going to be a little bit awkward to go for with 215 pen. We went with that shot towards his cupola again, but it dropped a little bit low and meant that we bounced. But the fact is, we know the Caliban's fired, so we're going to just start putting our DPM to work, because the Caliban has terrible DPM, we all know this. So if he's fired, we have to make the most of the fact that he's already fired. So now that he's fired again, he's put me down to 417 hit points. I know that I'm going to kill this dude. There is no chance he survives unless I low roll, because he is a 50-50. So we aim for the cupola. Oh, thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. We didn't low roll. We managed to shut down the Caliban. Even if I had low rolled, I feel like I might still be able to kill him because I got the DPM. Oh no, there's next contender. The Emil 1951 comes in. He's fully locked onto the little tier 6, so I'm like, great. But for some reason he decided, oh, you know what? I could go for the tier 6, or instead, you know what? I'm just going to go for the tier 8. which better target to go for, but the random decision from that Emil 1951, he went, you know what, I'm going for this tier 6, or in fact, actually, I'm going to turn fully sideways on to everybody and shoot this guy instead. One of them moments where you sit there going, really? Come on now. But thankfully, we managed to use the rock to our advantage, got away from him, managed to get a couple of shots into the artillery, and we're up to 3,042 damage with 1198 assistance damage, and there's 4 tanks left on the enemy team. There's the KV-3, the Bog Horror, or the Mutant, whichever one it is, and the VK3601H. So we are behind this KV-3, so we're going for that tracking shot. He is already tracked, so we may as well go for that back drive wheel to keep him pinned in place so that it's easy to shut him down. Timing. Timing. Am I right? We pulled the trigger at the exact moment that T-78 came zooming by. What are the chances? What are the chances of that? Alright. Fine. So we end up finding the GW Tiger Pig at the back. We get a shot into his side, and, well, he just does what Artie does and goes and drowns himself. Sad times. So we're going to go focus on the Bog Horror because we never get into that artillery before he drowns. And hopefully we can use the mobility of this vehicle, which, like I say, when you get it fully upgraded, you will hit 40 kilometers an hour quite quickly in the M3Y. So it is a pretty damn mobile heavy tank. Because 35 kilometers an hour is about average for any heavy tank in this game, or in World War II at least anyway. 35 kilometers an hour is that speed where you feel slow, but it's not that bad. Once you get below 35, that's where you start to go, oh boy, I'm really slow. But once you get to 40, you start to feel fairly mobile in a heavy tank. So we've finally got ourselves here with that mobility to the Bog Horror. We've got the APCR loaded because the standard pen might struggle with the Bog Horror, but we've got the side of his turret. We put one shot in. The VK3601H finishes him off, and we finished the game with a really nice total there for the M3Y. We finish with the epic victory, 3 kills, nearly 4k damage, 1624 base XP. Really nice game there for the M3Y, which, with the Pascucci's Medal, the High Caliber, the second class, I really did enjoy grinding through this M3Y. It was an enjoyable experience for me. Personally, I did enjoy this little tier 8. I say little, it's not really little, but you get my point. I did enjoy the grind through this tier 8. It was pretty fun. It was better than I expected. That's the way to put it. I didn't think it was going to be that good, but actually, it was alright. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!